Thank you, Ann. Ann is on our board. She's our secretary. And of course, we have nominations coming up. And, you know, we have a membership of the heart. So you're a member. You raise your hand, fill in the sheet, and you get to vote. And then, of course, Garnet wants to roll off. And he's been doing it for 18 years. So I don't know why he wants to roll off. But 8 or 9 years.
It's become a monarchy.
Yeah, it's a monarchy.
It's the Nash monarchy.
He is working, he's still going to be working hard. Our chairwoman is in Croatia and then Germany to see her grandkids. And Crow is not present, and our treasurer, the money lady, is Maria. So that's our team. We have a few new people in the audience. I'll just take their picture because you'll never see them again. Would you introduce yourselves?
I met most of you when I came in a little while ago, but my name's Miranda Compton and I live in Lakemont.
Welcome.
Welcome. Tell us something. Okay. You're new here.
Yeah.
And I took your picture and you're my friend. So
My name is Stacy Kavanaugh and I come from Atlanta.
thank you.
Welcome.
I'm sorry. You
Pardon
come
me?
from Atlanta? I was just,
Well, I live there now.
I was
Yeah,
just
not from
extending
here.
my
She could
condolences.
probably-
Yeah, she's from Connecticut.
We're from Atlanta too.
Are you really? Yeah.
Jeff Hobbs from Kennesaw, Georgia.
There you go. Very good.
Welcome.
These are friends of mine that I've roped to come up here, and soon they'll be buying a house. They just don't know it yet. I'm working on my real estate license on the side. I don't have enough to do. All right, let me get this thing started. Hold on one moment. You know me and my technology. So, cancel. Anybody else? First timer? Oh, a hand goes up. Hi, welcome.
Hi, I'm Sue Clark and I'm visiting from Unity of Fort Myers.
Oh, wow. Hey, welcome. We've got a few Floridians here. We sure do. Thank you. And of course, we're a small unity compared to that one, aren't we? Well, and your name is? Your name is, I'm sorry?
Sue.
Sue. Welcome, Sue. Welcome, welcome. All right. Get all my paraphernalia. I have a few slides. Mostly they're just to coach me to know what to say, but if you can see them, hopefully you can see. I'm going to stand up here and be tall. Okay. Hit it, darn it. All right. Welcome. Thank you, Ann. Ann did a good job of explaining what unity is, and for some of you who may not be familiar, we are of the New Thought movement, and New Thought's been around since the late 1800s, and there's two great New Thought congregations in this country, and it's us and another one called Centers for Spiritual Living. I have been trained with the Centers for Spiritual Living and joined Unity a couple years ago. This is wonderful teaching. So I call them first cousins. Welcome. I got my title, which my title of the talk is, What is Your Next Role? I got that from a quote from my favorite New Thought teacher, Raymond Charles Barker. Mr. Barker studied with the founder of the Centers for Spiritual Living. He passed away in the 80s. He writes great short books and short sentences that I can comprehend. And so I love this quote that I have up there from him, which is the universe, and in our fellowship here, we use the word God, Spirit, universe, Dolly Parton, all interchangeable. So if I say the universe, it could be, God, it could be Dolly. The universe is always working on the next project. We have to do the same if we are to play the next role in our lives. Very powerful statement from Raymond Charles Barker, and hence that's where I came up with the name of my talk today. Recently, as many of you know, I have chosen to step into a new role in my life, that of being a candidate for public office. Now, just a local office. I'm not going for state senator yet. In the past, several people have asked me to run because I'm quite vocal, timid as I am, and have been in this community 18 years, and I've done a lot of activities that, I've tried to be a servant of the community. I always said no, 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 no. A couple of months ago, this summer, early this summer, a gentleman who has a position in government here said, Dee, we would like you to run. And, you know, it has nothing, you know, it's not a political, we don't care if you're Democrat, Republican, Green Party, we just would like you to run. And I'm, oh, no, I can't, I just can't. And he said something that got me to run. He said, Dee, I know you are a spiritual person, and I think that would really help us and you to do this. And he hooked me with that line. He said spiritual. He didn't say religious. He said spiritual. So I walked home that day from the meeting in the county, and I walked home, and I said to Rebecca, you know, I think I'd like to do this. And Rebecca said, this is what she said, you should do it. You will be good at it. She now claims she did not say that. How long have I been with Rebecca, boys?
40 years.
45 years.
45.
I'd like to mention that. And
Congratulations.
they haven't caught up to, thank you, they haven't caught up to me yet. So I threw my hat, as they say, the proverbial hat into the ring to run for Clayton City Council. I immediately then turned to my spirituality to get me through this, as I knew I'm going to have some spirituality to get through this endeavor. As I step into this role, which is a public role, it's really an internal role. It's really been an opportunity for me to do some introspection. It's my journey to be whole, to be more authentic, and to face my fears, and of course to grow. Win or come in second, I know this experience, I will change and I will grow. And that's what we're all about. You can relate on that topic. So as I talk, think about today what role you might be stepping into at this time in your lives. Stepping into this role meant that I had to stop making excuses, and I had to look at the reasons. And that brings me to a question, what is the difference between a reason and an excuse? And I have it on my slide up there. What's the difference between a reason and an excuse? All right, here's an excuse. I can't come because I'm busy. I can't come over to your house because I'm busy. That's an excuse. A reason would be, I can't come because I don't want to. And in my case, when I thought about it, I realized I was thinking I can't run for public office because, not because I didn't want to, but because I was afraid. I was afraid of rejection. I was afraid of not pleasing people. I was afraid of unkind and untruths being said about me. The man in my life, I do have a man in my life, who has known me for all of my 70 years, is my brother, Dick Daley. He lives in Missouri. He called me up and said, what are you doing? This is not going to be good for you. He's my older brother. Obviously, if he's known me since I'm 70, he'd have to be around ahead of me. So he's a couple years older than me. So he says, politics is toxic, Dee. Why do you want to do this? And then he reminded me of something my nephew, who's now 23, said about me when he was about 6. Aunt Dee Dee, you have fragile feelings. That was his word for sensitive, you know. My brother reminded me, Dee, you are sensitive. Oh, so I talked to my brother. A few others said to me, I don't think you can win in this county. Why are you doing this? Well, when Dick and the others tried to dissuade me, I wish at that moment that I would have quoted Mark Twain, and I'm paraphrasing. 20 years from now, I will be more disappointed by the things I didn't do than by the things I did do. So, brother and friends, I throw off the bow ties. I sail away from the safe harbor. I catch the trade winds in my sails, and I explore, and I dream, and I discover. Mark Twain. Or perhaps I would have used the Teddy Roosevelt line from the Man in the Arena speech. Brother, it's not the critic who counts. The credit belongs to the man who's actually in the arena. If he or she fails, at least he or she fails daring greatly. That would have been a good one. Another good one. and an author I've been reading and studying quite a bit, has a lot of fabulous YouTubes. Brene, B, starts with a B, Brene Brown. How many of you know Brene Brown? She is terrific. She has tons of books out. She started through YouTube a couple years ago and became an overnight sensation, went video on a book, and then she wrote a book called Daring Greatly. And her quote is, "The courage to be vulnerable is not about winning or losing, it's about the courage to show up when you can't predict or control the outcome." Brene Brown. But I did not say any of those things. What I said to my brother on the phone is, I just feel like I need to do this. I just feel like I need to do this. When I think about that statement, while it's not nearly as eloquent as Teddy Roosevelt or Mark Twain or Dr. Brene Brown, it is a spiritual statement. It is intuition. It is the universe, God, Spirit, speaking to me. It's that voice that many of us often hear that says, do it. Step out of your comfort zone. Do it. Step out. Go ahead. Don't throw out an excuse. Face it. But we weren't raised that way. Not too many of us were raised in this empowering teaching, this teaching that says we can be what we can be. Most of us were raised in a philosophy of hold back. Don't show yourself. Who does she think she is? Kind of attack her down. As Ernest Holmes says, and he is the founder of the religious science movement, in his little book, which I'll show everybody, it's the book called This Thing Called You. Again, it's a great book. I recommend it. It's very easy, short sentences, easy to understand, lots of good affirmations. He says we can change our thought patterns, perhaps not in a moment, perhaps not in a day or a month, but we can change them. It's the process of the gradual re-education of our mental reaction. We can learn to exchange fears, doubts, and uncertainties for faith, which I think is why we come here every week, as I call it, for our spiritual tune-up, to link in again to that faith. It's a fellowship, we care about each other, and we also have a 15-minute talk and fabulous music on connecting. And of course, living in this beautiful chapel that was built by the men and women who preceded us, who maintain this beautiful place. Back to Ernest Holmes, which is from this book. He says, right where you are is the place to begin. Right where you are is the place to begin. You know, we often so wait for when this, you know, when I'm done with that, when the kids are out of school, when this divorce is done, whatever. We start now. This is our teaching. I think we all know that fear is the great restrictive force, as it stops most of us from stepping out into our comfort zone. It stops many of us from stepping into that new role that we might be hearing about. Dale Carnegie states, if you want to conquer fear, don't sit home and think about it. Go out and get busy. As we all consider our next role, fear and criticism will always be there in some form. And the slide up here is speaking to that. The slide up here says, the forces of fear, insecurity, and doubt will never go away no matter how hard we try to avoid, hide from, or attempt to bury them. Instead, we need to face them with courage and confidence as our authentic selves. We have the responsibility to ourselves to face them with courage and confidence. Or as the fabulous New Thought teacher Ellen DeGeneres says, accept who you are unless you're a serial killer. That one. Accept who you are unless you're a serial killer. Let's not let the opinions or criticism of others let's not let them come into our world and stop us from pursuing our role, our next role. I recently found this saying, ships do not sink because of the water around them. Ships sink because of the water that gets inside of them. Moral of that story, do not let what is happening around you get inside you and weigh you down. Speaking of Facebook, Oh, I know that saying is true because I found it on Facebook. So you know it's true. Ships do not sink because of the water around them. Ships sink because of the water that gets inside of them. It's true. I found it on Facebook. Now, speaking of Facebook, well, I put my little picture out on the Facebook and said, D. Daley, running for Clayton City Council. 2,000 people live in Clayton. 1,500 are registered. 3 million are on Facebook. So I get this comment the other day. I will not mention the lady's name because it's a toxic comment. Okay, so you ready? Out of the blue, I just put out there, I've been here 18 years, blah, blah, blah. She writes, D. Daley, are you going to ignore our Christian foundations and attempt to bring in more pride events? I'm not aware of bringing in any gay pride events, but this lady wants to know. D. Daley, are you going to ignore our Christian foundations and attempt to bring in more pride events? Then, this woman knows more than I know. She writes, Hiawassee, which is a town, an hour over that way, elected a gay woman mayor. I didn't know that. And then she says, she's attempting to change the music acts at the mountain fair, bringing in less gospel. D. Daley, do you want Clayton to become more liberal and less Christian?
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Well, you can imagine, you know the responses I wanted to write. First I wanted to say, dear so-and-so, our lovers' quarrels should never be aired on Facebook. You like that? Or, dear so-and-so, the Hiawassee mayor asked me to tell you how much she enjoyed your special weekend together.
I'll vote for that one.
Or, dear so-and-so, I so enjoyed our weekend trip together in Hiawassee. I will always love you. Well, okay, back to our teaching. We teach that each person is a unique expression of God, that each person is sacred and each person is worthy. And that is certainly not always to remember when you get mean-spirited comments like that, and we all get them. I did respond with kindness and I kept to my message. The point here is that stepping into my new role, I can expect adversity. I am diversity. We are diversity. I can expect adversity. I knew it when I signed up. The flip side of that is all of these benefits having stepped into this new role. And the amount of love and support that I've received from so many people. Yesterday, a neighbor who doesn't have the same political event as I did knocked on my door, and I'm like, oh, what's this going to be? She's like, Dee, here's $100 cash. Now you go out there and win this election. And how can I help you? And so that was a surprise, a pleasant surprise. Immediately, a couple of dear friends of mine, and Ann is in this photo, so you have to make sure you see it, sponsored a paint and sip fun, Cabernet and paintbrush party. And it was a fundraiser, and we had a blast. And it's a couple of the pictures. And then we each painted our own version of a canoe. And my canoe, as my friend said, had all the kinetic energy of me, blah, blah, blah. And my lovely partner's canoe was just sitting right there on the lake in the mountains. And you could just feel the strength of Rebecca behind the kinetic energy of Dee that drowned us. It was just terrific. I've heard from friends I haven't heard from in years on Facebook. This gentleman I worked with 10 years ago, he now lives in California. He writes, people, listen to me. Vote for Dee. She's awesome. And it's just like, people, listen to me. Recently, here's my favorite, Chuck. That's us with our pictures. Here's Chuck. This is Chuck, the husband of Ann. Recently at our disco party, which was another fabulous event of fun. So we've had a lot of fun in this campaign. And we had a blast, and there's Chuck out there doing his boogie moves. And we closed our disco party with one of my all-time 1970s favorite song, Last Dance. Last Dance, here's just a few words from Last Dance. Oh, I need you by me, beside me, to guide me. So let's dance, the last dance. Let's dance, the last dance. Let's dance this last dance tonight. They had some good words in the 70s, didn't they? I mean, simple to the point. Let's dance, it's the last dance tonight. So as I close my talk, I say to myself and to you that when I do have my last dance on this earth, I want to know that I acted on those opportunities to face my fears, to step out of my comfort zone, and to take on the new roles that are put forth before me from the universe, from my intuition, from spirit. And I welcome you to do the same, and so it is.
Yeah.